topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the host and their guests, and not those of W4CS Radio, its employees, or affiliates. W4CS makes no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening to the Cancer Support Network on W4CS.com.
Hi, welcome everyone. It's Aarti with Light Up Your Life, and it's Friday in July, and I hope you all are doing well. And as I always say, as the world has opened up even more over the last couple weeks, just always be humble to your needs and to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. There are a lot of changes that are continuing to happen day by day. And I just want to remind you to stay humble to how you're feeling, and also to pay attention to any signs of those little bouts of anxiety you may feel, and just breathe through it. Take those deep cleansing breaths and really go through it. I want to actually not spend too much time today because we have a wonderful guest, and his name is Dr. Aajay Shah, and he is a cardiologist who has specialized in cardiac care and has done transformative work in the industry. Dr. Shah actually grew up in Gujarat, India, and he actually went to medical school there. And shortly after, he did his residency in Illinois, and then actually moved into Michigan. And he can actually go through his history when we talk about it, but had done some work in the hospital setting, of course, and then decided he wanted to go into private practice. And so I actually will be asking him a few questions about his journey and how that had looked. Dr. Shah is extremely passionate about cardiac health, but now he has really decided the big focus throughout, and has always played a constant theme, is lifestyle, and what lifestyle looks for good heart health. And so I'm really excited about having him on today, because we always want to look at the lens of lifestyle and changes through our medical community, and we want that partnership to always be there. So I'm very humbled for him to be on. So with no further ado, I would love for Dr. Shah to join us today.
Thank you, Aarti. It's a really honor to be on your show, obviously. And I would like to start with one example. Just 3 days ago, one of our very close friends at age 62 died of a massive heart attack without any warning, and he probably had a cardiac arrest at home. And yesterday we were at his funeral, and he left with a young wife, young kids, and it's such a tragedy to see these young professionals. He was very successful, very prominent in community, a big leader. And I think my goal now is to not just treat the heart disease, but matter of fact, prevent the heart disease. Because by the time I see a patient with chest pain, half of the battle is lost. So today we're going to talk about not just to how to take care of heart disease, but also prevent it, how to live long, and also prevent many chronic disease. Because when we live healthy, the byproduct is not only about the prevention of heart disease, but the byproduct is prevention of many chronic disease, good health, happiness, and a big longevity, almost up to 100 years old. So I'm very excited. And again, it's an honor to be on your show. And I will try my best to convince your viewers and your followers to see how we can start a healthy lifestyle from today.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. And I do love our title today about living with longevity. There are a lot of people who are living longer. Of course, we know the average lifespan has increased substantially over the years, especially in the United States. and in different parts of the world, except the fact is people are living with a lot of chronic pain and illness. And that is exactly what I hear you saying, that you really want to focus on living with vitality and longevity.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So I think if we can start with the slides now,
Yes, yes, yes.
let's do that. And please feel to ask me questions in between. And yeah, if you can go to the slideshow mode, that way the whole slide will be on the screen. Just from the beginning, where it says from the beginning. Can you do that, or I can?
Roxy, does Dr. Shah, okay, Dr. Shah, you can go ahead and start from the beginning. You're in control of the slideshow.
Let me see. Okay, so again, title of my talking is just some simple small steps you can do for a lifelong happiness, health, and longevity. Let me a little bit talk about myself. I've been a physician for the last 41 years. I'm a board certified cardiologist for 26 years, and I recently, 4 years ago, got board certified into lifestyle medicine because I realized after doing many procedures, including stents, pacemakers, and many other procedures, and prescribing thousands of medications, I realized that the key thing in medicine is prevention. And that's where I think, I think a lot of the future holds actually, where we need to go towards more preventative care. And for that reason, I got board certified into lifestyle medicine 4 years ago. Lifestyle medicine is actually a new field, only for last about 4 or 5 years, and only 2,000 physicians out of hundreds of thousands of physicians are certified into lifestyle medicine. But beside that, I have a big enthusiasm about longevity and health span, obviously for myself and also for my friends, family, and all of you. So today's talk is a kind of a rapid fire list actually. I'm going to list a lot of the items, and I want you to look up every item yourself and listen to my YouTube videos on my channel, Healthy Living with Dr. Aajay Shah, to get more details. But today we will make a big list of what you can do to live 100, 110 years old, happy and healthy. Again, for last 100 years, we are living longer in America, except last 3 years, we've been living 3 months average less in America. And part of it's because of many chronic disease. Also, like Arti said, Americans are getting sicker at a younger and younger age. When I see a patient, 65 years old, a Medicare patient or Medicare population, many of them have 3 to 5 chronic disease, sometimes more. Many of them are on 7, 8 medications, sometimes even 10 or 12 medications per day. So it's again, Americans are getting sicker and sicker at younger age. I also want to talk about this concept of chronological age and biological age. Chronological age is the age from the day you are born until today. So, for example, I am 59 years old because I was born in 62, 63. Biologic age is the age where your cells, how much aging your body cells have done, your physiology has done. And we will talk about how you can measure your biologic age in the last slide of my presentation. I also want to talk about this concept of rectangular lifespan curve. As I explained earlier, Americans are getting sicker at a younger and younger age, and they are also living less for last 3 years. What I see the future for all of us, including myself, is to have a rectangular lifespan curve. That means we go many decades of very healthy, and then in one day or one week we just suddenly die. So suffering is much less. So again, living good life, living healthy life until about 90, 95, 100, and then dying in a day or a week. So that was suffering will be a lot less. That means having no medications until last month of our life.
Dr. Shah, can I interrupt
Yeah,
you for a sec? So I know you're
yes.
going to go into this. Do you truly believe and I'm not talking about research, do you truly believe when we talk about chronological age that the average person can live to be 90 to that span we're talking about?
For sure. I think if people follow what I'm going to show today,
Mm-hmm.
even if they start at age 40, 50, 60, they
Mm-hmm.
can live 90, 100 easily, easily. Trust me. Actually, the maximum lifespan for human can be 120. And if everything is done right, including what I'm going to show today, we could live 90 very easily, healthy and happy. And a lot of the chronic disease are the people can reverse it. So even if people who are watching this show, even if they have a high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, even Alzheimer's disease, many of those diseases can be reversed over 1 to 3 years if they follow what I'm going to show today. And again, today I'm going to show a big list. Every item in the list has been described, obviously, on Google, on YouTube, and books, in textbooks, and also on my YouTube channel. If you follow many things in this list, I can assure you, you will live very long. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed. We can die from a car accident or a lightning on our house. Something can happen. At the same time, the odds, if you follow what I'm going to show you, odds of living very long and very healthy will be very, very high. So let's start with what things are needed. Number one is physical attributes. So body mass index is the something you can calculate based on your height and weight. If you want to live 90, 100, make your body mass index 22. And you can calculate your body mass index by simple online calculator. Just Google it. So BMI should be 22. Actually, BMI of 25 is considered normal, but in my sincere opinion, BMI of 22 is ideal. If you are Indian or South Asian like myself or like Arti, our BMI should be 20 to 21 because we carry a lot more visceral fat at a lower BMI. I will talk about visceral fat as we go. Also, another important parameter is body fat percent. Many times, BMI could be 24, 25, but body fat could be normal. So again, body fat measurement is become very important. For male, 15% body fat is ideal, and that can be achieved at any age. 25% body fat for female is ideal. Also, another simple thing you can do if you cannot measure the body fat at home is just getting your tape out, measuring tape out, and measuring your waist. If your waist size is half of your height, you are in good health. My height is 5'6", my waist should be below 33. Next thing is resting heart rate. Lower the resting heart rate, better health you have. Resting heart rate below 50 is actually considered very healthy. So even if you start at 75, 80, 85 with a regular cardio exercise, with meditation, with increasing your parasympathetic tone, we'll talk about that, you can lower your resting heart rate and can be healthier. Next thing is optimal heart rate variability. This is a new concept for last 5 to 10 years. Heart rate variability is the concept where between each beat, how much is the time span? And many times this heart rate variability start to go down as we get sicker and as we get older. If you maintain your heart rate variability higher, particularly above 40, 45, 50, that means you are in good health. Next concept is this healthy microbiome. Microbiome has been discussed over the last 5 to 10 years in very detail. Microbiome means all the organisms which resides in our body. Large part of microbiome actually is in the colon, the bacteria in the colon. And those bacteria has a many symbiotic, happy, healthy functions given to our body. We help the bacteria, bacteria help us. And how to improve the healthy microbiome is very important. And that's where eating plant-based diet, eating a lot of soluble fiber improves your microbiome. People who eat a lot of animal products, a lot of meat, a lot of processed meat, actually have very unhealthy microbiome. We'll talk about that as we go. Next thing is maintaining your blood pressure below 110 over 80 at any age. In the past, we used to think that as we get older, some higher blood pressure readings are okay or allowed. That's not true. Keeping blood pressure 110 over 80 is ideal at any age. Maintaining circadian rhythm is also very important. We have realized over the last thousands of years that people who wake up when the sun rises and who goes to sleep when the sun sets in are actually people who live long and are healthy. Every cell in our body has a circadian rhythm. Even the cells in pancreas, the endocrine organ which secretes insulin, has a circadian rhythm. We secrete insulin more in the morning and less in the evening. So again, every cell in the body has this sun-based cycle or sun-based clock. And if we live with this sun-based clock, we live healthy and we live long. So let's start
Dr.
with
Shah,
what? Yes.
I'm really glad that you brought up the myth behind the blood pressure. I'll be honest with you, even in my knowledge, I also follow the myth of as you get older, you have a little bit of a leeway with the blood pressure, right? So thank
Yeah.
you for that. I think a lot of people, I mean, this is great information, but I think with that blood pressure information in itself is very empowering for people to realize how important it is.
Yeah, I think for blood pressure, every 2 millimeter rise actually increases your stroke risk by almost 5 to 10%. So people whose blood pressure is 130 versus 110, they're almost 50% higher chance of stroke. So I agree, maintaining 110 is ideal, and that can be done with, and we'll talk about it. That can be done with lean body mass, not eating any salt, meditation, regular walking, adequate sleep, no alcohol. I have a separate video on how to control blood pressure naturally on my channel. Please watch that video. But I agree with Arti. Keeping the blood pressure 110 at any age is ideal. So let's talk about nutrition. When we want to live healthy and live happy and live long, nutrition becomes number one requirement. And that's where I highly recommend people going on a whole food plant-based diet. That means eating the way plants and vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and intact grains and cooked beans are made in nature. Being vegan is not enough because Oreos is vegan. Drinking Pepsi or Coke is vegan, but that's very processed food and that's very unhealthy. So whole food plant-based diet where we eat raw vegetables, cooked vegetables, intact grains like quinoa, brown rice, black rice, millet, oat groats, many of those intact grains, and also cooked beans, legumes, and lentils. If you cannot become whole food plant-based 100% vegan, then actually you can have 10% of your calories from animal products, but definitely not more than 10% of your calorie. If you look at some of the blue zones where people live long, people live healthy, people live happy, they are mostly plant predominant. Their animal products are less than 10%. So even if you cannot become vegan, at least become plant predominant. Eat lots of plant in the whole form. Also, next thing, important thing is avoiding salt, oil, and sugar. I call SOS, like the symbol of emergency or urgency. SOS. That means no salt, no oil, no sugar. Many of the Indian people use a lot of oil in that cooking, a lot of fried food. Even some of the American cooking involves a lot of oil, including chips and fried chicken and many of the fried dish. Oil should be avoided. Oil is one of the most calorie dense food, 4,000 calorie per pound. So that's a lot of calorie in a very small amount of food. Oil is to be avoided. And sugar, obviously, we all know what are the side effects of sugar, and sugar should be avoided. Same way, no soda and also no diet soda. We also know that diet soda, even though it does not give calorie, it still predisposes you to having prediabetes, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease. It also affects your microbiome. So not just not drinking soda, but also no diet soda. Also, avoiding processed food is very important. Standard American diet, what we eat in America, involves 65% processed food. And that's the reason many of the chronic diseases have happened, including obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's disease. So try to avoid processed food as much as possible. Definitely avoiding alcohol would be ideal. If you want to have once in a while one glass of wine or one beer or one drink of a heavy liquor, I understand that. But avoiding alcohol is the best policy. Obviously, drugs are no-no and should be avoided by all means. Also, like I explained earlier, maximum 10% calories from animal products. If you do that, you will have lots of fiber and you will actually have very healthy microbiome. Also, when you eat whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, you automatically will have 50 to 100 grams of fiber. Average American eats 15 grams of fiber, just 15 gram, and that's not enough. That's the reason many diseases happen. We need to eat minimum 35 grams, preferably, in my opinion, 50 to 100 grams of fiber every day. Also, many people ask me that what should be my macronutrient ratio. Macronutrients are carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Typically, I don't recommend to follow the ratio as long as you eat healthy. But if one asks what should be my ratio, in my opinion, it should be 65% complex carb from whole food plant based, 25% from fat, mostly poly and monosaturated fat with very little saturated fat, and 10% from protein, mostly plant based protein like legume, beans, and lentils.
Dr. Shah, we did have you answered it, but we had a question from a viewer who asked about sugar alternatives like diet sodas. Are they bad for you? Even though you answered that question, I was just wondering because some of the things that even I talk about and that you're discussing, they're so important, but they're really big changes. So can you discuss one that is, if you had to go in a hierarchical order in your last couple of slides, what would you say you should start with? Because we had the questions of
I
like,
think I think if they become whole food, plant-based, no oil person, I think I believe in a method of adding instead of deleting. Deleting is always hard because we are creature of habits. Certain habits we have are hard to delete because they come since our childhood. But when you add things, when you crowd out the good things, automatically the not good things start to go away. So add lots of raw vegetables, cook water cooked vegetables, add lots of intact grains, add a lot of cooked beans, add some nuts and seeds, very small amount, and automatically you will start getting satiety and you will start getting fullness and you will actually start avoiding processed food and animal products. So number one priority for our viewers and listeners would be to go whole food, plant-based, no oil. I think if they do that, they will automatically have less craving for sugar, less craving for alcohol. Matter of fact, recently a study was done where people who eat 7 servings of vegetables, 5 servings of fruits, they also have a great improvement in their mood and depression. So I think a lot of this time, when we start eating whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, a lot of these bad items gets actually deleted by itself.
no, I'm glad you brought that up because those natural foods, such as good fruits, can really increase our serotonin, right? Our feel good. Serotonin is our feel good neurotransmitter in our brain and our body. But so that's great.
Yes.
Dr. Shah, one more question because I do think back to the diet soda question. So what are some good alternatives? Because some people are like, I just can't drink those. I just can't drink water all the time, or I just can't. What would you suggest or some other while people are trying to wean down on their soda intake?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, for example, people who are drinking soda and diet soda, they can drink more water. They can drink a flavored sparkling water. They can drink uh, a no calorie iced tea, which is decaffeinated. They can drink hot tea. They can drink decaffeinated coffee. They can drink warm soy milk. There are a lot of alternatives to drinking soda and diet soda. Many times when we drink, it's something we like to hold in our hand and we actually like to sip. I think once you get into the habit of sipping on something else, you automatically just do fine. I think try to essentially uh, like start having only one soda in the morning and then remaining time of the day just have a flavor sparkling water. If you do that, I think gradually you will just wean off your soda completely. um,
Okay.
going back to the slides, so when you have a micronutrient access, and micronutrients typically come from vegetables, fruits, and plant-based food. Animal products do not have that much micronutrient. They do have some, very small amount. So creating a micronutrient access is very important. In America, we have a lot of caloric access. We eat 500 more calories now than 30, 40 years ago. So we have a lot more calories in our diet, but we have a lot less micronutrient in our diet over the last 50 years. And that actually needs to change. We need to go back to eating more micronutrient and less calories. Also, having adequate omega-3 is very important. Omega-3 typically comes from algae-based supplements or fish oil or walnuts or almonds or flax seeds or chia seeds. Many of the seeds have omega-3. If you take flax seeds or walnuts, your body will convert ALA to DHA and EPA. But if that conversion many times is not adequate as we get older, and sometimes I recommend algae-based supplement. And if you are allowed to take fish oil, you can take fish oil supplements. Also, lowering your omega-6 is very important. As over last 50 years, consumption of vegetable oil has gone up. That means sunflower oil and many other oils. And all those vegetable oil have a lot of omega-6. Omega-6 is actually pro-inflammatory. It causes a lot of inflammation. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. So we need more omega-3 and less omega-6. Also, taking vitamin B12 every day is very important. Or you can take a supplement on a weekly basis. So B12 is very important. Having a very small amount of nuts and seeds is also very important. Nuts and seeds have consistently shown benefits in longevity and also in maintaining health. Regular vitamin D, if you are not getting adequate sunlight, is very important. Taking a multivitamin with iodine, if you are on a no salt diet, is also very important. We already talked about eating 1 pound of raw vegetables every day, 1 pound of water cooked vegetables every day. If you do that, you will have a great satiety and you will not have hunger for a lot of the unhealthy food. Also, having 5 servings of fruits every day, 1 pound of any kind of legumes, beans, and lentils, and that should be eaten many times in the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A lot of people don't eat breakfast with protein. A lot of they have many times just a carb like a cereal and milk, or cereal and bacon, cereal and eggs, but they don't get plant protein. So that way, if you eat legumes, beans, and lentils even in the breakfast, that would add protein in the morning. Also, having small intact grains, and again, intact grains are brown rice, black rice, millet, oat groats, quinoa, all those things are intact grains. Try to eat as much intact grains possible and try to avoid flour as much as possible. That means having less bread or less roti or less paratha or less naan. Just go to the intact grains. Also eating 1 pound of starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Typically, we eat as human 3 to 5 pounds of food every day. That's our stomach capacity. If we crowd out this much amount of food, what I just described, you will not have a need or you will not have a hunger for eating any unhealthy food. So, like I said earlier, eating whole food, plant based, no oil, 3 to 5 pounds per day will make you automatically healthy and lean, and you will start losing 1 to 3 pounds per week. Also, eating food in a low saturated fat in the diet, that means avoiding most of the animal products because animal products have a lot of saturated fat, avoiding full fat dairy, avoiding a lot of the coconut oil and a lot of the oil. They all have a saturated fat. Also, I want our viewers to understand this concept of G bombs. This was given by Dr. Joe Furman. And G bomb stands for G for green vegetables, mostly cruciferous vegetables, B for berries, O for onions, M for cooked mushrooms, B for beans, and S for small amount of seeds. So this should be in our diet every day. The G bomb should be every day. Also, I want people to have decaf green tea instead of a regular coffee or soda or diet soda like we talked earlier. Also, I want our viewers to know that we should be doing low temperature cooking. When we cook at a high temperature, there is a formation of certain substance called advanced N-glycation products. This advanced N-glycation product is a combination of sugar and amino acid or sugar and protein. And this advanced N-glycation products are shown to cause Alzheimer's disease, cataract, heart disease, many cancers, even wrinkling of the skin. Many of those things happen because of high temperature cooking. So if you want to have some air fried food or some oven cooked or some grill or barbecued food, try to keep it minimum as much as possible. Also, the concept of caloric restriction has been around for 100 years when animals were given less calorie, they actually live longer. In humans, those studies are hard to do, but whatever the small number of studies done in monkeys and even in humans over the short duration, health significantly has improved. And in my opinion, it will also make a person live longer if there is caloric restriction. Also,
Dr. Shah, one quick question for you. You
yes.
said decaf green tea. Can you explain to our listeners and audience why regular caffeinated green tea would not be recommended in your viewpoint?
I think caffeine has a plus and minus. Caffeine can raise your blood pressure. Caffeine can make you jittery. Caffeine can precipitate anxiety. Caffeine can cause osteoporosis. Caffeine can cause even actually some of the palpitations where heart starts racing. So avoiding caffeine is good. At the same time, caffeine also has some benefit. Caffeine actually can prevent diabetes in small studies, can prevent Parkinson's disease, can prevent liver cancer. So caffeine has some benefit. I personally believe that if you want to have coffee or caffeinated tea, just have one in the morning because caffeine, if you take in the afternoon, can also disturb your sleep. People who have coffee at 4 or 5 o'clock, they may think that sleep is okay, but actually, if you look at the details, the deep sleep and REM sleep significantly goes down. So I personally believe decaffeinated tea is best. The next best would be caffeinated tea, then decaf coffee, and then coffee in that order. But I think avoiding caffeine is right, particularly if you have high blood pressure or if you have any kind of palpitations or heart disease or if your sleep is disturbed. If you're having poor sleep, eliminating caffeine is very important. And as we know, a lot of Americans have poor sleep. So caffeine, in my opinion, is probably something not worth looking into. I typically have decaf coffee, and if I have coffee, I have just maximum a medium coffee in the morning. After that, I never take any coffee, and I get a great sleep every night. Going back to slides, intermittent fasting is also kind of a concept which has been relooked at it for last 5 to 10 years. But technically, we are doing intermittent fasting for thousands of years, probably since a million years, because we always ate when the sun rise and we stop eating when sun set. So we always had 12 to 14 hours of no food. Now we call it intermittent fasting. That means not eating 12 hours or 14 hours during the day. That has shown many benefits, including longevity, weight loss, prevention of diabetes, prediabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease. Particularly eating late in the evening is not healthy. So try to avoid eating 4 hours before you go to sleep. Also, you can do water only fasting. When you do 24, 48, 72, even 5 days of water only fasting, where you don't take any calorie, a lot of the benefits happens, particularly a process called autophagy, where actually you clear out precancerous cells, you clear out many of the older organelles or the parts of the cells, and you actually regenerate the newer cells. It also actually it creates some more stem cells. So water only fasting is also very important. Also, healthy ketosis is very important. Right now, keto diet is in big fashion. Everybody wants to do keto diet. In my opinion, keto diet is extremely unhealthy, extremely bad. Nobody should be doing keto diet. At the same time, getting into ketosis is beneficial, but we need to get into ketosis in a healthy way. That means prolonged fasting. When we fast, our glycogen goes down and we start burning the fat and we get into ketosis. Regular exercise gets you into ketosis. So again, a healthy way of getting into ketosis is very important. Also, in terms of our diet pattern, we should have a healthy large breakfast and a light early dinner. Healthy large breakfast and a light early dinner. Also, drinking adequate amount of water is very important. People who eat a lot of whole food, plant-based diet, they don't need that much water, but I still believe 64 ounces is minimum. But if you are eating a lot of animal products, you need to drink a lot more water. In terms of the physical activity, we need to move at least 10,000 steps per day, preferably 15,000 steps per day if you want to live 100 or longer. Regular weight training, regular strength training is very important. Also, stretches and yoga and balance training is very important. Fall in older age is one of the major reasons people get into health issues. after a hip fracture, mortality at 1 year is very high, particularly in male. And that's where the balance training becomes very important. Also, this concept which I came out myself, where I call it a be like a Sardinia male. Male typically live anywhere from 3 to 5 years less than female. If you want to beat those statistics, if you are a male, be like a Sardinia male. The reason I said that because in Sardinia and Italy, which is one of the blue zone where people live long, male actually live longer than female by a year or two. So again, be like a Sardinia male. So what does it mean? That means move every hour. In Sardinia, those male wake up at 5:30. They get out of the house. They go on their farms. And many times hills and mountains. They are climbing up and down. They're walking all around. They're doing a lot of farming. So they are busy all day, almost until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. Again, you can do the same thing in America by moving every hour, by taking a lot of stairs, and essentially becoming like a Sardinia male. Also, like I said, for all of us, moving every hour is very important. Even though we exercise 1 hour in the evening at a gym or at home, if you sit 8, 10 hours at a desk, it's still very unhealthy. And people, even though they exercise, if they sit 8 to 10 hours, they have higher chance of pre-diabetes, diabetes, and heart disease. So moving 5 minutes every hour will just be a great thing because even many of the employers are now allowing their employees to just get up, stretch, or do a few squats or walk 5 minutes and come back and sit down on the chair. So moving every hour is very important. Let's go to some of the laboratory data. I want all of us to keep our A1C, which is the measure of diabetes. It's an average of the sugar over 90 days. A1C should be below 5.2. Diabetes means above 6.5. So if you keep it below 5.2, that means you are very insulin sensitive and you are in good health. Keep total cholesterol below 150. If you need to take statin, I can understand, but try to do total cholesterol 150 with diet as much as you can. Keep LDL, the bad cholesterol, 70 or below. Keep triglycerides, which is essentially a fat in the blood, keep below 50. Keep HDL, which is the good cholesterol, above 50. Keep your ALT and AST, which are the liver enzymes, 20. As we know, fatty liver has become very common in America because of obesity. And fatty liver can lead to cirrhosis. And now, cirrhosis from fatty liver is number one reason for liver transplant in America. And you can just quickly follow your health of your liver by checking your liver enzymes, ALT and AST, and try to keep it below 20. Also, keep your WBC white blood cell count below 4.2. High white blood cell count is a sign of chronic inflammation, and people with a high white blood cell count actually live less. So try to keep it below 4.2. Also, keeping lymphocyte percent above 40% is also a sign of an absence of any chronic inflammation. People with high neutrophils in the blood also have a higher chance of having a chronic inflammation. Also keeping albumin, which is the protein in the blood, 4.8 or higher. Also keeping IGF, which is the insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1, between 100 and 150. This IGF-1 test is not commonly done. I had it done, mine is 110, but average IGF-1 in America is anywhere from 250 to 300. And IGF-1 is a big promoter of cancer, and high IGF-1 leads to many cancer. So if you want to prevent cancer, lower your IGF-1. The best way to lower IGF-1 is by avoiding animal products as much as possible. Animal protein has been the biggest promoter of IGF-1 and mTOR pathway. Those pathways are actually growth-related pathway, and they actually can cause a lot of cancers and precancerous conditions. So keep your IGF-1 100 to 150 by keeping animal products as low as possible. Keep your insulin level below 5. Average American insulin level is anywhere from 12 to 20, sometimes as high as 35. Insulin level below 5 is a sign of a good insulin sensitivity, and keeping insulin level below 5 will prevent the diabetes. Ask your doctor to check insulin level. Very simple test, very cost effective, very cheap test, actually worth getting it done. Keeping HSCRP, which is a marker of inflammation, at 0.2 or below. Chronic inflammation now has been consider one of the reasons for heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, many cancers, many of the arthritis. So keeping the chronic inflammation away. So checking HSCRP will tell you whether you have any chronic inflammation or not. Next thing is preventing cancer. I have a separate video on my YouTube channel, what you can do to prevent cancer. And those things essentially include preventing obesity, not smoking, not eating processed meat, not, many other things you can do, not exposing yourself to sun without sunscreen, many things you can do to prevent the cancer. Also preventing top killers in America, and those are heart disease, cancer, stroke, kidney, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, lung disease, accident, suicide, and including medical errors. And there is a great book by Dr. Michael Greger, How Not to Die. That book is almost 500 pages on describing how you can prevent top killers in America. Worth reading that book. Also, obviously, smoking is no. Everybody should stop smoking if they smoke, and nobody should be smoking. Also, reversing all chronic disease is possible. Over next 1 to 3 years, you can reverse your diabetes, you can reverse your high blood pressure, you can even reverse your heart disease. So it's worth doing it even if you are at an older age with many chronic disease. Preventing metabolic syndrome is also very important. Almost 60 to 70% of Americans have metabolic syndrome, and almost 88% of Americans are insulin resistant. And metabolic syndrome essentially means having high triglyceride, high sugar, low HDL, high blood pressure, and an increased base diameter. So if you can prevent metabolic syndrome, you will prevent diabetes and prediabetes. Also, preventing osteoporosis is very important. Osteoporosis leads to many fractures, and as I explained earlier, fracture is one of the reasons a lot of the mortality happens as we get older. After a hip fracture, 1 year mortality in male is higher than even lung cancer. So again, preventing fractures, preventing osteoporosis is very important. Preventing depression is also very important. Depression can lead to many of the chronic diseases, because when a person is depressed, the person does not take care of himself, does not eat healthy, does not exercise, does not sleep well. So depression can be a root cause of inviting many of the chronic disease. I have a separate video. It's worth watching. It's a 2 hour long video on how to prevent depression on my YouTube channel. Please watch that video on depression. Also, be in the nature as much as possible. That's proven that people who are exposed to nature every day, they live long. Also, get adequate sunlight, not just to get vitamin D, but to also, like Aarti said, to create many of the happy hormones, including serotonin. So definitely have adequate sunlight. Also, avoiding night shift as much as possible, because now we know night shift people live less, and night shift now actually is considered by WHO as almost like a carcinogen. So avoid night shift as much as possible. Obviously, some of us, including myself, nurses, paramedics, some of the workers, some of the highway workers cannot avoid night shift. If that's the case, try to do all other things as healthy as possible, so at least you will not get many other issues, even though you're working night shift. Have maintaining a good posture is very important. Uh, Having a health coach, life coach, a personal trainer, in my opinion, is a big investment. Many of us, when we go to see our doctor, because doctors are busy, they may not give you more than 5, 10 minutes, and they may not talk about lifestyle, they may not talk about healthy eating or exercise or sleep or many other healthy behavior. That's where the health coach comes handy. Health coach actually are now very cost effective. You can get a 1 hour consultation with a health coach for anywhere from $50 to $60, and you will get more out of it than any other doctor can give you. Also, having life coach is very important, because our life has more than just the health. It has a family, finances, stress, many other things. Time management. Having life coach is very important. Having personal trainer becomes also very important, particularly if you are starting to get into weight training or any kind of extensive running, long distance running. Also, personal trainer becomes very important. I have personal trainer for many decades, and I really enjoy exercising with a personal trainer. Also, getting regular vaccines are very important. Obviously, your doctor will guide you on that. Having proper cancer screening, including mammograms, colonoscopies, prostate exams, are also very important. Getting a yearly physical is very important. Getting a good dental care, dental cleaning every 3 to 6 months becomes very important. Regular flossing at night becomes very important. Regular brushing the teeth becomes very important. Also, very important thing is sleeping 8 to 9 hours. Many Americans sleep less than 5 hours and take a pride that I am so productive and I am so working hard. But let me tell you, when you sleep less than 8 hours, you're not productive next day. If you want to live long, live healthy, prevent many chronic disease, prevent diabetes, prevent obesity, prevent depression, prevent even many accidents, sleep 7 to 8 hours. 8 hours is ideal. Also, sitting in a sauna, either steam sauna or infrared sauna, has also shown benefit in terms of health and living long. Taking cold showers also is very important. Even a 1 to 2 minute of cold shower every day, you can just turn your shower to heat and just turn to all cold for 1 to 2 minutes and go back to heat. Even if you do that every day, there is data that it behaves like a hermetic stress, a low level stress on the body, an intense stress, and that actually make you live long. Also, protection from sunlight is also very important. Taking care of your finances is also very important. Obviously, if you live 90, but if you are financially broke, it's not a good condition to be in. So again, make sure you save every month, you contribute to your retirement and manage your money well, because I want all of you to be live long, but also live with all the financial needs. Also, safe car driving is very important, because no matter how much healthy behavior we have, but if we text and drive, or if we are distracted by many phone calls or many other things on in the driving the car, you will die in a car accident, and all your hard work of being healthy will be lost. Also, get a college degree or more. People who have a college degree has proven to be healthier, happier, and living long. Also, having a spouse or a life partner, we all need a buddy in our life to live long and live healthy. And having a spouse or some form of life partner or a very close friend becomes very important. Also, having a family, people with family also live long. Loneliness is considered one of the major risk factors for many chronic disease, including heart disease. Matter of fact, loneliness is as bad as smoking when it comes down to heart disease. So prevent loneliness as much as possible. Now let's go through some of the mindset. Number one reason people live long is because they have purpose to live. And your purpose could be, seeing your 50th wedding anniversary, your 75th wedding anniversary, like President Carter did, or seeing your grandkids' marriage or grandkids' graduation, or running a marathon at 80 or 90, or whatever purpose you have, climbing a Mount Everest, whatever purpose you have a purpose to live. Also, have a strong belief that you will live 110. Like we started our segment saying that, is it possible? Let me tell you, I have a strong belief that I can live 110. I'm still working on some of the things of what I've been teaching you, and I'm getting gradually over there. I'm human, I'm still working on it. But at the same time, if you have a strong belief that if you will do right things to live 110, you will live 110. Also, feeling and acting young is very important. A lot of people, as they get into 50s and 60s and 70s, they feel like the life is over, the zeal is over, there's nothing more to contribute to society or the family, and they become dull. Always feeling young, even though you're 90 years old, or acting young, is very important. Having a mindfulness is very important. There are a lot of books, a lot of videos on mindfulness, but essentially staying focused on the one task at a time and avoiding multitask is very important. The next concept is very important, and that's being in love with a person, pet, or a plant. This is one of the most important things. When you love somebody, when you love a pet, or when you love even a living plant, you live longer. This has been proven again and again. Also, having a hobby, and that hobby could be running, reading a book, traveling, seeing different lighthouses, many different hobbies you can have. Cooking, cleaning, gardening, many hobbies you can have. Also, be a minimalist. I think we have all gotten into this mindset that being a minimalist avoids and prevents many of the chronic stress. Reflect on the life every day. I spend my 15 minutes every day, late evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, to reflect how my day was and what things I could have done better, so that the next day would be better. Always be happy. I have a video on how to be happy. It's almost 3 hours long on my YouTube channel. Worth watching that video, because we don't realize the things we think will make us happy. Matter of fact, they don't make us happy. There are many other factors to become happy. So please watch that video. Also, be always proactive in health, proactive in sleep, proactive in finances, proactive in career, proactive in stress management, proactive in watching videos for the health. Always be proactive. Always be positive and optimistic. Always try to find 3 to 5 things positive out of every negative thing. I have made that habit. If a person is stuck in the traffic, he or she can think that at least that person wasn't in the accident. Maybe he or she can listen to some good podcast. Maybe he or she can call up a friend or a parent or a son or a wife or a daughter and spend the time in a very positive way. Also, always be very optimistic. Also, manage stress well. And I have also videos on how to manage stress. So please watch those videos also.
Oh,
Also,
Dr. Shah, I think we're actually out of time for our segment.
okay.
Um, yes, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. From my heart is so warm right now because it's everything that we talk about in general. And for you to come from the perspective of a doctor today is amazing. Everyone, please check out Dr. Shah's amazing work on his YouTube channel, and he has listed his Gmail as well, his email contact. Thank you, Dr. Shah.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting me. See you soon
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
See
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
have a wonderful week ahead. And this is Light Up Your Life with Aarti, and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.